Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Reality Bites. Today, I'm with a guest who needs no introduction. It's Union Minister Smriti Irani ji. Today, we talk about Sandeshkhali and the horror unfolding in West Bengal. Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking out the time to speak to me.
I can't say it's a pleasure because it's on a topic which has enraged, rightfully, so many across the country.
Ma'am, you held a press conference recently and you said that Mamata Banerjee is responsible for the genocide of Hindus.
Yes.
The BJP or the government so far has not used that phraseology either for the post-poll violence or for Sandeshkhali, save for you when you did the press conference. Can you tell us why you think it's a genocide against Hindus that's unfolding?
Firstly, I spoke from the political organization's platform. I didn't speak on behalf of the government. That being said, I think that the reason why I translated every statement that I heard in local media about Sandeshkhali was because though there are many in the Lutyens media who have suffered from the tyranny of distance, there are some who claim to suffer from the tyranny of translation. It was important for me, and because I know the language, to communicate the angst and more so the horror of what Sandesh Khali is all about. And for me, what flummoxed me is that this news was in the media for a good 3 to 4 days. The fact that the horror of Sandesh Khali was not encapsulated by any one organization, the fact that there was not a national uproar about the issue, is what drove me to that press conference. That being said, I used the terminology genocide of Hindus, knowing well that the victims of Sandesh Khali were particularly identified not only for their age, their looks, but also their religion. They spoke about their Shakhapala being broken. They spoke about the fact, and I translated literally exactly what they said to the local media. They spoke about the fact that they were particularly picked from Hindu families. Now, I have myself been witness to the fact that in West Bengal, be it the Ram Navami celebrations or the Hanuman Jayanti celebrations, each and every such Hindu festival, or Saraswati Puja for that matter, has been specifically targeted by the TMC. Now, there has now developed a psychology or a thick skinned nature, especially in certain parts of the national media, which for some reason would not look at this issue in totality from the prism of, till now it was looked upon from a prism of political appeasement. But the fact that she has particularly directed state sponsored violence against a subset in a religion, or for that matter, people of a religious disposition, is what drove me to personally pronounce her as somebody who presides over the genocide of Hindus. Now, if you look at the numbers that emanate from the state, close to 60 to 65 incidents of communal violence have been reported within the states in the year 2021-22 itself.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine a state which has a reported communal violence incident number of 60 plus, and the chief minister is nonplussed? So, Ram Navami, Saraswati Puja, Hanuman Jayanti, and now picking house to house searching for women of a particular age bracket, of a particular physicality, and of a particular religion. What does that remind you of? The genocide of Jews? Where in Nazi Germany, there were house to house searches of who's a Jew. So if you are somebody who's read history, you immediately juxtaposition it with that prospect of history. And you wonder, in modern day democracies, can we be silent? I have a constitutional maryada, but can humanity breach it?
Yep.
That is a question that is upon us.
Ma'am, during the post-poll violence, and since we've spoken about how it's a genocide of Hindus, I interviewed a girl who specifically said that the men of TMC came to our house and said, "Hame Hindu ladkiyan chahiye." But often, for people who are outside of Bengal, it is seen as political violence in the sense that West Bengal is a state which sees widespread political violence after every election. So, how would you classify the change in the kind of
I
violence that we
think
saw
the
2021?
fact that we are so matter of fact about violence in a state and take a position where we assume that this is nothing but a natural course of action in a state speaks volumes. We've all seen the bloodshed during the communist era in Bengal. To say now the same color red is painted blue by Mamata Banerjee, but blood flows, and an acceptance of it is what I think is one of the most inhumane takeaways from this conversation. That we think a region and its people are predisposed to violence because they are born in that state speaks volumes. So, yes, post poll violence saw 15,000 cases of violence. They were not in any way colored by what the religious inclination of the individual victim was. There's 7,000 cases of sexual molestation and sexual assault, even in post poll violence numbers, which have not been contested. Every political organization, apart from the TMC, has claimed those numbers.
Yeah.
So, how is it that you paint it as a BJP conspiracy? Those who are a part of the so called now forgotten India alliance, they themselves spoke about incidents where their own workers were violated, assaulted, killed. 50 incidents of political activists being attacked. 10 from the BJP, but others from other political organizations. So, how is it that everybody who's killed is termed a BJP conspiracy? And the issue is, just because I'm from the BJP, does that mean that you'll quicken me to death? How is that democracy? How is it okay for you to just quietly sit there and rubbish anybody who dies under the BJP flag? Are we so disposable as human beings?
But then again, there was a change of color in the kind of violence we saw. For example, if you talk about the Signbury massacre that happened, it was both were professed Hindus, both sides, the victims and the perpetrators.
I think, Nupur, the issue is this. Are people of the opinion that if you're a Hindu, it's okay that you'll be butchered? Are people of the opinion that if you're in the BJP, it's okay if you're raped, mutilated, and butchered? Is that where politics in Bengal has now come to? That my life will be valued less because I wear the current color saffron. Have we become that inhuman? Are we to be reduced to just numbers on a charge sheet just because we're from the BJP? Why is my life valued less? So I think somewhere in the narrative of the TMC, to debase the worth of the life of a BJP Karyakarta has worked splendidly, because I've never heard any television or newspaper editor say a life is a life. So even if it's a BJP Kormi, as we call it in Bangla, hanging publicly in a village, is that human being less worthy and not to be given justice? So, since when is this narrative acceptable? That, oh, if you're from the BJP, if you're a supporter of the BJP, off with your head, and not a human being will blink an eye. Because they came for us first, it was okay. Now they're coming for you.
You've said that Mamata Banerjee is one of the first CMs in India to sit and watch her people being massacred, people of a state being
Yes.
massacred, simply because they didn't vote for her.
Yes.
There,
Because every human life has worth. I'm MP from a Lok Sabha seat, which is not traditionally a BJP seat, but one of my first speeches after I became an MP is that it doesn't matter Whether you voted for me or you didn't vote for me, I'm constitutionally obligated to serve all. The Prime Minister says this. Every political leader says this. So how can Mamata Bandyopadhyay just turn a blind eye saying, oh, they are BJP workers. They are citizens of our state. You may have a distinct political ideology, but since when those who are responsible for maintaining law and order, responsible for dispensing justice, officially say it is okay to kill somebody in the BJP?
Even in the Sandeshkhali incident, she has come out and said that.
When?
Sorry?
When?
When did she come out and say? Of course, days after she was goaded and forced to
So the
issue a
question
statement.
is, what is the first response when you are confronted with a administrative and legal challenge, like the Chief Minister of Bengal was when Sandeshkhali became an issue? Before it became a national issue, it was a local issue. People congregated seeking help. The Chief Minister of Bengal did not respond till the Bharatiya Janata Party had a press conference in the national capital. So, for people of Bengal to be heard, it is now obvious that it is incumbent upon the BJP to highlight it in the national press. Otherwise, cries for help go unheard. So now the people of Bengal have two pathways of trying and getting help for themselves. Either go to court, because Mamata Bandyopadhyay has kept the Kolkata High Court and the Supreme Court extremely busy with her shenanigans, or scream loud enough for somebody in the local media to want and try attract the attention of national media. So the question is, when did she say? And what did she say? Are you telling me that she can't find that one man in Sandeshkhali? The one man who's apparently applying for anticipatory bail, contacting a lawyer, he's able to contact lawyers galore, and she's not able to hunt him down.
So he absconded after the attack on the ED, and the ED went to court.
But imagine the audacity. Ask any average Indian citizen. If you are stopped for a traffic violation by a police officer who's uniformed, identified as an officer, much less assault them, would an individual Indian citizen even raise their voice? No. Now, look at what Sheikh Shahjahan and his goons and their team did. They knew officials of the Enforcement Directorate are coming to investigate a ration scam. What is the ration scam? Worth 500 crores. Scamming the poor to fill the pockets of the TMC. They gather a mob of close to 1,000 people, grievously injuring the ED officer, so much so that the ED, which is normally not very vocal about the challenges that they face during investigations, had to come out with a statement saying 3 officers were attacked with the intention of putting them to death. Now imagine the audacity of Sheikh Shahjahan. He thinks he can kill uniformed personnel and there'll be no price to pay. Mamata Bandyopadhyay will turn a blind eye. Imagine the confidence. And in that area, what is the message to the female victims of Sandeshkhali? That Sheikh Shahjahan can actually attempt to murder ED officials. आप किस खेत की मूली हो, correct? That the Chief Minister of Bengal will not have the courage to have him arrested. आप किस खेत की मूली हो, right? That is what Sheikh Shahjahan is saying. And Mamata Bandyopadhyay is coyly submitting to it.
There were ED officials, the ED essentially went to court and said that Sheikh Shahjahan had the confidence to send voice messages to officials when he was absconding, and those messages were akin to something that Osama bin Laden would send.
Yes.
Now, he has been absconding, and as a journalist, I find it difficult to believe that Ms. Mamata Banerjee is incapable or her police is
So
incapable
either
of
she's
tracking her down.
complicit or she's incompetent.
Right.
The intelligentsia that supports her can possibly pick.
Do you think she's in a political prison of her own making now that she
Are
can't?
you saying that she's a political hostage to jihadis?
Yes.
I don't know.
Do you think so?
I don't know.
I believe she is. Do you think so?
For me, what possibly flabbergasts me is the fact that the chief minister, who has been duly elected to office and has all instruments of state to ensure investigations can be free and fair, does not ensure it so. To me, what is extremely intriguing is the chief minister of Bengal, who claims to have no challengers within her political organization and has the majority votes to be in office, somehow finds herself under some compulsion to be almost complicit in the illegal activities of Sheikh Shahjahan. Otherwise, my repeated stand is this: how is it that Sheikh Shahjahan, when he reaches out and files for anticipatory bail, a man who is missing, signs legal documents to be submitted for his bail? Which means for his lawyer, who obviously is operational in the state of West Bengal, Sheikh Shahjahan had to be physically present to sign those documents. So, as I had said in my press conference, the question before the press conference was, who is Sheikh Shahjahan? Now the question is, where is Sheikh Shahjahan? Now, given the attorney-client privileges that are available under the aegis of the Bar Council of India, there is a little territory which is privileged, and this is again my assumption. But how is it that time after time, every document is being physically signed by Sheikh Shahjahan, who apparently is otherwise missing?
The SCST commission that visited Sandeshkhali has recommended the imposition of precedence rule in West Bengal. Now, this was a criticism by several supporters, including myself, of the
Yes.
BJP, that the BJP perhaps failed to protect its own cadre, protect Hindus
What would
in
you
Bengal.
rather have me do? Take a sword and go down?
After the post-poll violence.
I am in a constitutional position. So, what would you rather have me do? Break my oath of office?
Would a president rule, the imposition
Am
of a
I the
president
governor
rule?
of West Bengal? Do you know the constitutional provision? Who has to seek it?
Ma'am, are you telling me that the central government with over 300 seats had no options after the post-poll violence?
What is the
or what's happening
constitutional
in
provision?
Sandeshkhali?
What is the constitutional provision, Nupur?
If the central government...
You would want me to behave like the communist goons we have fought our entire life. You would want me to behave like the maniacal Gandhi family that we fought all our lives, so that we become just another copy-paste version of the Congress party. Is that what you'd have me do? Because the toughest challenge ideologically for a political activist is to become unto those that you have fought your entire life.
But don't you think morality would dictate that we need to save
I
lives
have a
first?
constitutional morality that I'm subjugated to. When you're in a position which is constitutional, the balance is between your personal responsibilities to your own moral sense and outrage, and that you have under oath undertaken as a responsibility towards your constitutional position. What would you rather have me do right now? And I'm talking as an individual, I'm not talking for the party or the government. I'm very clear. Would you rather have me become a dictator like the Gandhi family, or have my constitutional patience tested and wait for the appropriate officers to speak? For somebody like me who has spent 2 decades in the field, fighting Naxals, fighting the Congress party, this is the toughest position to be in.
Why is it
I
tough?
have to depend on the governor and constitutional positions for taking up an issue and for giving a statement. I have to live in that reflection. Otherwise, I become a sorry copy of the Communist and the Congress Party that we have fought so hard to keep out of office.
Ma'am, are you telling me that there was nothing that the
I
central
am
government
not the
could have done?
constitutionally positioned human being who can respond to it. I am the one person who said yes to your interview. But do I hold that office? I don't. I don't. So, can I speak for that office that I don't hold? I can't.
You have gone personally on the ground in West Bengal after the post poll violence. You have spoken out on Sandeshkhali and been the recipient of vicious attacks and vicious abuses. When you did go to Bengal after post poll violence, after these women were raped, after houses were burned, after men were killed, did you feel threatened? Because the
I've been to
dehumanization and
Amethi.
normalization.
I've been to Amethi. It's just that there were no headlines coming out of that place. But that was no less a tough spot. But yes, I've been to Jangipara. I've been to Uluberia. These are areas which were the hardest hit. And I have taken up panchayat by panchayat issues. I do believe that the challenges our workers face in Bengal are so immense that to reduce it to an interview would actually not do justice to their everyday struggle. It is comparatively easy to pontificate in a cozy drawing room setting like this. It is much difficult to live it every day, where you are dragged by the hair outside your house only because you are a booth worker, where your whole house is burnt or you're beaten badly so that you never have a roof or work, or you're ostracized socially within your own community. That horror, um, you can just reflect on and work towards ensuring that it doesn't happen to people you have worked with. That's a big state. So, all of us who go and work in the state go knowing well that when we leave, we should not leave behind our cadres unprotected. We should be available at the dial of a phone call. So it is one of the most challenging states where our workers are working. It's reminiscent of how the struggle was undertaken in Kerala. Like I said, we've seen both the CPM and we've seen the TMC. Just the gundas have changed colors from red to blue now.
Could you tell us a little about your experience when you walked those kilometers after
I
post-poll
know that in
violence?
Jangipara, the TMC cadre went evening before to tell every house, every establishment not to come out and meet me. Smriti Irani আসছে কালকে বেরোবে না. Means don't come out, she's coming tomorrow. But still, there were some who joined us. And when I was leaving, I was just hoping for their well-being when I left.
What I find incredibly tragic in Bengal is that now there is a debate whether women were raped or just molested. And you
You know what
be
I find worse? These are the people who voted for her. Like I said, they came for us first. The BJP supporters, the BJP workers, they came for you now. So these were people who believed in her, who are now being fed and consumed by men like Sheikh Shahjahan.
yeah.
And yes, it is abhorrent that somebody has actually given a press statement, or I saw somewhere digitally. No, it was not this, it was that, as though varying degrees of sexual assaults are supposed to be okay.
It was actually the police themselves who said that they haven't received any complaints
What
of
is
rape.
shocking is the police not only has said this, but it is to begin with the police that was accused
Yeah.
to be complicit by the women victims. And I have said this in one of my interviews, I don't remember which, you know the horror of picking young married women? Because medically, if you look at it strategically, it would be difficult to determine rape in a human being who's apparently by law and societally so sexually active. Because if they had picked young unmarried girls, there would be medical evidence available. Secondly, what is horrifying is I've heard female victims on media platforms like ANI saying they were being told to go and fetch a medical report.
Yeah.
Now, procedure under law states that first you file the FIR, get the human being medically tested to ascertain, do a chain of evidence. Nowhere else in the country have I heard victims of sexual assault being told, go and get a medical report. So, why did Sandeshkhali and the entire incident come to public eye? Because women got together and there is video evidence of them saying in Bangla, বড় বাবু ওখানে দাঁড়িয়ে ছিলেন. And I've said this in my press conference. That বড় বাবু is in Bangla can mean what? That there was a bureaucrat who is there. So was the bureaucrat the police? Or any other officer in the administration locally? Now imagine these incidents of men coming on bikes, as the victims have elaborately said so, coming and doing a house to house search. Are you telling me that the mechanism of policing in Bengal has failed so miserably that such incidents of heinous crimes were being undertaken and the police had no clue? So, when did these women come out? They came out when they realized Sheikh Shahjahan is on the run.
Yeah. One of the women, in fact, a few women are on record saying that the police has, they have refused to accept complaints for the past 3 years. One of the Sandeshkhali women.
But that's evidence. So, somebody in the police organizations that has refused to take, has the police acted on that?
No, not to anybody's knowledge.
So, the state is being complicit. And Mamata Banerjee is looking at all of this happen and is not responding at all. Forget Sheikh Shahjahan. Why hasn't she pulled up any police officer to say which woman landed up at which police station asking for whom to file an FIR and which police officer did not respond? Who was that Bode Babu who was standing there? Mamata Banerjee has done none of the above.
One of the dichotomies of this entire incident is that unless an incident becomes politicized, quote unquote, which means that
Everybody
BJP
is
gets
political.
involved.
Everybody who votes is political. I differ that just because a political organization does a press conference, it will become political in terms of the tonality of the issue. The issue is every individual is political. And I believe today the Congress leadership was stopped from going to Sandeshkhali. I thought these guys were buddies. So what happened? Why not let Adhir Ranjan go? When she was just shaking hands with all of them just a few months ago in Bihar. What happened? And this is handshakes after post poll violence,
Yes.
after congressmen and women also dying or being injured. So, how did the blood of congressmen and women wash off so quickly for Mrs. Gandhi?
One of the accusations or one of the charges that people who are opposed to the BJP levy is that there was no such outrage when women were being violated in Manipur. There was no such outrage when Bilkis Banu happened. However, There is outrage
Is
as
your
far as the Sandesh
accusation
Khali
that
is concerned.
is your accusation that Sandeshkhali is an outcome of revenge rape? Now, I've spoken on all these issues. I have publicly made statements. I have tweets on these issues. That being said, just because I am silent, that means women in Sandeshkhali are to be raped? Is that the position of the TMC? Oh, Smriti Irani didn't speak. So, women in Sandeshkhali were raped as punishment? Doesn't make sense.
But do you think there is.
Smriti Irani didn't speak, so women of Sandeshkhali are to be sexually assaulted and molested?
But do you think, at an organizational level, as far as the BJP is concerned, there is any hint of double standard when it comes to
How
crimes
so?
against women?
How so?
Because they are maintaining that you or the BJP did not speak as vociferously
I did.
as far as Manipur
I
is
spoke in
concerned.
Manipur in Parliament, on social media. As a minister, I reached out to the Chief Minister, matter of record. Just because they choose to look away from the truth, that doesn't mean the truth is the truth. But the issue is, am I the issue or the victims of Sandeshkhali are the issue? Did you in the TMC rape the women of Sandeshkhali because of Manipur? Is that what the TMC is saying? So is Sandeshkhali a matter of revenge rape? Is that the admission by the TMC?
Moving forward, do you see a greater role that BJP could perhaps play in the plight of Hindus of the state? Because, as you said,
It
there
is
was
the
an
citizens of the
overwhelming.
state. These victims were identified by their religion. Hence, I said what I said. But there is also a Muslim student like Anis Khan who was murdered, allegedly so, by TMC goons. So when it comes to political profit, it seems Mamata can go to any length.
If you think Mamata can go to any length because of political.
Hasn't she already?
Right. But if you think that she can do that, do
Like
you
I
not
said,
think.
would you like to change that position? Hasn't she already?
She has, but don't you think it would be politically beneficial for her to today stand up and say that this is not acceptable and what happened in Sandeshkhali will be investigated thoroughly and
Let me
truly?
just turn that question around. Don't you think Mamata Banerjee thinks it's more politically beneficial for her to side by Sheikh Shahjahan than stand for justice? She's picked her side already. She has picked a rapist over the citizens of Bengal. She has picked an arsonist over the citizens of Bengal. She has picked a scamster, a looter over the citizens of Bengal. Mamata Banerjee has already made her choice. Like I said, first they came for us, our supporters. Now they come for you, the citizens of Bengal. While people are busy making reels, while people are busy clinking champagne glasses in some literary circuit in Bengal, first they came for us. Now they come for you.
There is sort of an omerta, a
Sort
vow
of?
of silence,
Sort
as far
of?
as a very pronounced one, as far
What do you mean,
as
sort of?
Bengal is concerned. In the media, in
Like
the
I said, tyranny
intelligentsia,
of distance, tyranny of translation. What else?
in the intelligentsia as well,
Which
which knows
intelligentsia?
Bangla.
Now, do they have the capacity to be called intelligentsia?
I'll be honest.
I'm being very clear, and I've said this. Everybody who supports Mamata Bandyopadhyay walks on the ashes of those who were killed, is party to the rape of the women of Sandeshkhali. And for those who don't want to use strong charge of rape, if they're happy with the word sexual assault, molestation, they are complicit with their silence,
There are
including newfound journalists turned parliamentarians.
again, Mamata Banerjee is somebody who has clearly ditched Rahul Gandhi, who has clearly ditched the India alliance. And yet, there is a sort of complicity of silence.
Of course.
And nobody speaks up as far as Bengal is concerned, not during the post poll, not now.
Mrs. Gandhi was happy enough to shake Mamata Bandyopadhyay's hand right after post-poll violence. Mrs. Gandhi was happy to keep silent while her workers died. Do you think the Gandhi family gives a damn about their Karyakartas? They don't.
Ma'am, one question before we wrap this up, since we've covered Bengal and Sandeshkhali. I know why you do it, but I think a lot of people would be curious to know why would you refer to Mamata Banerjee as Mamata Bandyopadhyay? You're the only person to do that consistently.
আমি বাঙালির বাড়িতে জন্ম নিয়েছিলাম তাই না গো ফিগার
So maybe I'll give my readers context later when I share this interview. My last question. In 2024, there was a lot of talk after post-poll violence that BJP would perhaps not have cadre left, would not have workers left to fight for them in Bengal. How do you see BJP positioned in 2024 as far as the Lok Sabha elections are concerned in Bengal?
It is true that Mamata Bandyopadhyay was of the opinion that kill them where they stand and there'll be no one left to speak for them. But BJP workers are still on the ground working, voicing their opinions. Why only 24? I'm also looking at 29. And also in Bengal, the next assembly elections. BJP in Bengal is there to stay. And you know why it is more and more evident? If not, Mamata Bandyopadhyay will not have directed the police to break the back of the BJP state president. The fact that he was assaulted and Odirda walks away plain tells you who for Mamata Bandyopadhyay is a mortal enemy, who she's scared of.
My last question, which is not related to Bengal, would you be fighting from Amethi in 2024?
I wouldn't know. That is a question that only the parliamentary board can answer. But one of our conversations, if you remember, Nupur, I had said this. 2019 was just the beginning of the pack-up of mother and son. I am grateful to God that I could assure it and ensure it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for sparing some time to speak to us about Bengal.
Thank you.
And I hope that the next interview that you grant me would be under far more pleasant circumstances.
Thank you for the conversation.
Thank you, ma'am.